Let's talk about using inverse trig ratios to solve for angle measures. First thing we need to remember is our definitions of sine, cosine, and tangent as the opposite over hypotenuse, the adjacent over hypotenuse, and the opposite over adjacent. Then what we'll have to do is we'll have to set up our equation based off the sides that we know. So we'll go ahead and label these sides. From the 90-degree angle there, we can identify the hypotenuse, and across from the x, we can identify as the opposite. So then what we'll be able to do is set up an equation to solve for this. So we'll say since we're involving the opposite and the hypotenuse, we'll use sine. Sine of x is equal to the opposite, which is 1.9, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 4.8. Then to get rid of sine, we'll need to use inverse sine. We'll take the inverse sine of both sides. And that will cancel off the sine and leave us with x equals whatever that is. So let me type that into my calculator. The inverse sine of 1.9 divided by 4.8. Oops. So 23.32 if I round correctly. And that's an estimation for x, because we know that we rounded it. Okay, and given this triangle here, we're going to have a little bit different. We've got to label our triangles differently. From x, we have the adjacent is 12 and the hypotenuse is 40. So what we'll end up doing is setting up an equation using the cosine ratio. So cosine x is equal to 12/40. We'll take the inverse cosine of both sides, and then we'll solve for that in our calculators. So we'll do the inverse cosine of 12/40, making sure our calculators are in degree mode. And we get 72.54 degrees for that one. Again, that's an estimate because we know that it's rounded. Down here we'll have to set up our ratios for the labels for the sides, and we will note that we've got the opposite and the adjacent in relation to x, and so we'll be using the tangent ratio this time. So we'll set up an equation using tangent of x is equal to the 37/15. We'll take the inverse tangent of both sides and get 67.93 degrees.